Hi everyone, I'm Umra Sohail. Welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. In this session, here we will learn the basic Pyspark for beginners. If you want more amazing tech-related videos, do like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay tuned. Now let's get to the video to learn more about Pyspark without any further delay. We will begin the session by discussing Apache Spark overview. And what is Pyspark? Then we will have a look at key features of Pyspark. Moving forward, we will understand the difference between Scala and Pyspark, and then the use case of Pyspark in industries. After that, we will understand what is Pyspark's data frame and its various features. And finally, we will end the session by discussing how to create data frame. Now have a look at why is Pyspark so popular. Pyspark is so popular because it's a first-class Spark API that is well supported and a fantastic option for most businesses. Spark is faster than the other big data solutions and can handle more than 100 tasks at once, which make it more suited to an in-memory model. The procedure is sped up and take much less time because of Spark's in-memory processing. Apache Spark is an open source cluster computing framework that is used to develop big data applications that can perform fast analytics over large data sets. Spark is written in Scala, but it can also be used from Python using Pyspark. It is very popular and one of the most requested tools in the IT industry because it has inbuilt tools for SQL, machine learning, and streaming. So now that we understand Apache Spark, it will be easier for us to understand Pyspark. So let's dive into it. Pyspark is a Python API to support Python with Apache Spark. Python can easily be connected with Apache Spark using the Pyspark provided PyForger library. When it comes to analyzing or working with large datasets, Pyspark is essential. Pyspark is a Python API to support Python with Apache Spark. Python can easily be connected with Apache Spark using the Pyspark provided PyForger library. When it comes to analyzing or working with large datasets, Pyspark is essential. Pyspark is a mostly searched tool among data engineers because of its functionality. So now that we understood about Pyspark, now we shall move on to its features. Real-time computing. Pyspark focuses on in-memory processing and offers real-time computing on massive amounts of data, so the low latency is evident. The next feature which comes in is support for several languages. Scala, Java, Python, and R just a few programming languages with which the Pyspark framework is compatible. Because of its interoperability, it is the best framework for processing large datasets. The next feature we have is consistency of disk and caching. The Pyspark frameworks offer powerful caching and reliable disk consistency. As we know, time is money, and to work effectively, we need powerful and fast processing. So the next amazing feature of Pyspark is rapid processing. With Pyspark, we can process data quickly, roughly 100 times quicker in memory and 10 times faster on the disk. So now we have come to the most important feature of Pyspark, which is effectiveness with RDD. Working with RDD is made easier by the dynamic typing of Python programming languages. If you are wondering what RDD is, let me give you a quick explanation of RDD. Let's learn more about RDD. RDD stands for Resilient Distributed Dataset. It is Apache Spark's primary data structure. RDD in Apache Spark is an immutable group of objects that computes on several cluster nodes. Resilient. With the use of RDD lineage graph, the system is resilient or fault tolerant and is therefore able to recompute missing or damaged partitions as a result of node failure. Now we have a better understanding of Pyspark and its features. So let's understand the need of Pyspark. It's crucial to understand why and when to use Spark with Python if you are going to learn Pyspark. Here we will go over the basic factors to consider while deciding between Python and Scala for Apache Spark programming. Data science libraries. You don't have to bother about the visuals or data science frameworks with the Python API. The R language's fundamental component can readily convert it to Python. The next factor which comes in is readability of code. Although internal modifications are simple in the Scala API, the Python API offers superior readability, maintenance, and familiarity with the code. Complexity. In contrast to Scala, which produces verbose output and is therefore viewed as a complicated language. So the Python API provides an accessible, simple, and comprehensive interface. Moving on to next factor, machine learning libraries. Since Python offers several libraries based on machine learning approaches, it is popular for developing machine learning algorithm because it makes the process simpler. So now let's discuss the last factor on our list, ease of learning. Python is simpler to learn and is known for its simple syntax. In comparison to Scala, which has a complex syntax and is difficult to learn, it is also extremely productive despite having a basic syntax. If you are new to big data, you have probably heard of frameworks such as Spark. The technologies can be in Python or Scala. How do you choose programming languages? To answer this question, we must consider various factors. Let us figure out the answer to this question by understanding the difference between the two. Firstly, let's discuss the difference between compiled versus interpreted. One of the major differences is that Python is an interpreted language, which makes it quite handy when coding, whereas Scala requires you to compile your code for it to be executed by the Java virtual machine. This process results in a file containing bytecode. So the next difference is based on the performance. Spark offers two APIs, the high-level one, where data frames and data sets are found, and the low-level one, which uses resilient distributed datasets. Scala offers superior performance with RDDs because Python has an additional communication overhead with the JVM. However, Python should not cause you any performance issue. Moving on to another difference that is based on type safety. Python has a dynamic typing, whereas Scala has static typing. When using dynamic typing, the type of the variable you are defining is not specified. Your code becomes simpler as a result. In Python, the type of your variable can be derived by writing its name and assigning a value. Now, what's the difference when it comes to a learning curve? It's typically easier to learn Python than Scala if you are just a beginner in any of the languages. Python has a progressive learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, you can use the same simple syntax you started with to do the advanced task. Let's discuss the difference based on the community support. Python has a much larger user base than Scala, which can help it gain support. As a result, Python benefits from more comprehensive libraries devoted to task complexity. Scala does have robust support. It is still far beyond Python. Finally, let's discuss the last difference in our list based on the project scale. Python is a smart decision if you wish to work on a smaller project with less seasoned programmers. However, Scala is the ideal option for a large project that requires numerous resources and parallel processing. Let's discuss the difference based on community support. Python has a much larger user base than Scala, which can help it gain support. As a result, Python benefits from more comprehensive libraries devoted to various task complexity. Scala does have robust support. It is still far beyond Python. Finally, let's discuss the last difference in our list based on the project scale. Python is a smart decision if you wish to work on a smaller project with less seasoned programmers. However, Scala is the ideal option for a large project that requires numerous resources and parallel processing. After learning different topics about Pyspark in this session, we have reached our final topic, which is Pyspark's use in industries. Let's take a look at it. Apache Spark is gaining popularity and becoming more widely used by its users, from startups to multinationals. Apache Spark is being used to create, develop, and innovate big data systems. Here are various Spark use examples for particular industries that show how to create and execute quick large data apps. E-commerce industry. Let's understand this with an example. Like Shopify wanted to analyze the kinds of goods its clients were selling in order to find suitable retailers with whom it may collaborate in order to grow its business. Its data warehousing infrastructure was unable to resolve this issue since it frequently timed out when processing data mining queries on millions of documents. Shopify successfully developed a list of stores for collaboration after processing 67 million entries using Apache Spark in a matter of minutes. The next use case of Pyspark is in healthcare industries. Healthcare Spark is used in genomic sequencing. Prior to Spark, organizing all the chemicals compound with the genes took several weeks. With Spark, it only took a few hours now. MyFitnessPal, the biggest health and fitness community. Use cases of Pyspark in industry. Apache Spark is gaining popularity and becoming more widely used by its users. From startups to multinationals, Apache Spark is being used to create, develop, and innovate big data systems. Here are various Spark use examples for particular industries that show how to create and execute quick large data apps. Firstly, we have e-commerce industry. Let's understand with this an example. Like Shopify wanted to analyze the kinds of goods its clients were selling in order to find suitable retailers with whom it may collaborate in order to grow its business. Its data warehousing infrastructure was unable to resolve this issue since it frequently timed out when processing data mining queries on millions of documents. Shopify successfully developed a list of stores where collaboration after processing 67 million entries using Apache Spark in a matter of minutes. The next use case of Pyspark is in healthcare industries. Spark is used in genomic sequencing. Prior to Spark, organizing all the chemical compounds with genes took several weeks. With Spark, it only took a few hours only. MyFitnessPal, the biggest health and fitness community, uses Spark to clean user enter data with the ultimate purpose of identifying high-quality food products. The food calorie information of roughly 80 million individuals has been scanned by MyFitnessPal using Spark. Media and entertainment. With the help of Apache Spark, Pinterest is able to identify patterns in very valuable user engagement data so that it can quickly respond to emerging trends by gaining a true understanding of users' online behavior. To offer online suggestions to its users, Netflix leverages Spark for real-time stream analysis. Another best use of Pyspark is in software and information service. The Spark developers have created Databricks. It is a platform that has been tailored for the cloud to run Spark and ML apps on AWS and Azure, as well as a thorough training course. In order to grow the project and advance, they are working on Spark. Financial services provider FINRA assists in gaining real-time data insight from billions of data occurrences. It can test things on actual market data using Apache Spark. Last but not the least, Pyspark is used in travel industry as well. Let's learn more about it. Apache Spark usage in the travel sector is growing quickly. It facilitates consumer flawless traveling planning by expediting customized recommendation. By comparing numerous websites, they may also utilize it to advise tourists on where to book hotels. Spark is being used by TripAdvisor, a popular travel website that assists consumers in creating the ideal trip to speed up its tailored client suggestions. We have Introduction to Pyspark. Introduction to Pyspark. Python Pyspark provides an interface for Apache Spark. It enables you to create Spark application using the Python APIs and give you access to the Pyspark shell, enabling interactive data analysis in a distributed setting. Most of the Pyspark functionality, including Spark SQL, Dataframe, streaming, MLIB, and Spark Core, are supported by Pyspark. To build more scalable analysis and pipelines, Pyspark is a useful language to learn. if you are already familiar with Python tools like pandas. Next is, what is Pyspark Dataframe? A distributed grouping of rows with name columns is known as a data frame. In layman's terms, it is equivalent to an Excel sheet with columns header or a table in a relational database. Additionally, it has several traits in common with RDD. We can create a data frame or RDD only once. We cannot modify it. After applying transformations, a data frame or RDD can be transformed. In other words, a task is not carried out until an action is taken. Both the RDD and the data frame have a distributed design. I'm sure you might be wondering why exactly we need data frames now. Let's discuss that. Data frames features. Distributed. Data frames are distributed data collections that are arranged into rows and columns in Pyspark. A data frame has a name and the type for each column. Data frames are comparable to conventional database tables in that they are organized and brief. The next feature is lazy evolution. Although Scala may be executed lazily, and Spark is written in Scala, Spark's default execution mode is lazy. This means that up until the action is involved, no operation over an RDD, data frame or dataset are ever computed. Next is immutable. Immutable storage includes data frames, datasets, and RDD. The word immutability means inability to change. When used in reference to an object, it signifies that its state cannot be changed once it is formed. Compared to Python, these data frames are immutable and provide less flexibility when manipulating rows and columns. Now we are going to look at the demo, how to create data frames. Let's go ahead and create some data frames. So now I used Google Colab instead of Pyspark shell, as I personally find it easier to work with. It comes down to your choice. So guys, let's go ahead and start the demo. So now I will show you how to create a data frame in Pyspark. Firstly, we need to have Spark configured on our device to use the Pyspark shell. For this, you need to open your command prompt and then type in this command to install Pyspark. pip install Pyspark. So now, here we are ready to get started. We can create our data frame in Pyspark shell, but I prefer to use Google Colab for myself. You can choose to do it in a Pyspark shell or Jupyter notebook also. So, here let us open a new notebook. Now firstly, we will have to set up a Pyspark. So we will type in the same command, pip install Pyspark. Now as you can see that Pyspark is set up, we can move on to creating an example of data frame for departments and students. So now, as you can see, Pyspark is setting up. Importing Pyspark SQL. Now as you can see that Pyspark is set up, we can move on to create an example data frame for departments and students. So now, after the import is successful, I'm going to create a student database using the row function. So students equal to row consists of columns named as first name, last name, email, age, and roll number. So now, we will create data for some students. Now in students, we have columns named as first name, last name, email, age, and roll number. So now we will create data for some students. We will write student 1 equal to student 1. Then inside this brackets, we will write John. Like the first name, then the Amaral, which is the last name. Then we will write the email, age, and roll number. Again, we will do the same for the rest of them. Like we will just copy this one and then paste. After that, we will change the specific first name and last name, email ID, etc. Like for student 2, 3, 4, and 5 also. We will change the specific name. Like student 2 is Cassie. And there is no surname, so we have to write none. Email cassie@uni.com. Then we will come to Lois. Because Lois has a last name, so it will be Lopez. Lois Lopez. Lois@university.com. So student 4 is Jack and his surname is Doris. Because he don't have a email ID, so it will be none. And the age is 23. So for student 5, who is Michael, we will do the same procedure as the surname is Jackson. And the email is, I repeat, and the email is michael@uni.sim. As you can see that all these students' data are in the same format as given first name, last name, email, age, and roll number. So let us create some department data as well. So now we will go on text and let's create the department. Again we will use the row function. So department 1 equals row, then inside the brackets. ID is equal to 001, we can take, and name is equal to subject. So name is equal to maths, the subject, or whatever you want to take. Now coming to department 2, it will be the same as department 1. Just have to enter the row, then inside the bracket, the same ID is equal to whatever the ID you want to take. Because we are going in the serial number, so it should be 002, 001, and name is equal to, we should take English. Now coming to department 3, it will also go same. Starting with the row, ID, that is 003, and again name of the subject, we can take physics. So it will also go same for the department 4. So we should just copy and paste. (004). Name of the subject should be chemistry, or whatever you want to take. So now suppose you want to look at the values of student 2. We will use the print command to print student 2. So let's do it. Coming to code, and now print in bracket student 2. So you can see here the values of row student 2. The first name is Cassie, last name is not specified, so it has been printed as null value. Before moving further, we should check if there is any error or correction we should make. Let's see. Okay, so there are some double quote. And email is also missing. As you can see, only the single quotes will work. And because we mentioned the email for other students, so we have to mention the email in the elements also. So, yeah. Okay, so it's all fine. Let's have a look. Let's just cross check and run it. Yeah, it's working. So, moving forward. So you can see here the values of row student 2. The first name is Cassie, last name is not specified. So it has been printed as null value. Then we have the email cassie@uni.sem, and her age is 22 and roll number which is 14526. So now see how easy it is to use Python. And now we can also create some instances for our departments and students data. Okay, now so we have to click on the text first. Then we have to write only create the department with student instances. Okay. So now we have to click on the code. So as for department student 1 is equal to department student 1 is equal to row, and inside its department is equal to department 1 and student is equal to student 1 and student 2. Now for the others, we just have to copy this and paste like we have done earlier. and you just have to change the serial number of student, department, here we are creating some instances which shows us the student each department consists of. Let me show you how it is done. So you just need to execute the command. So we just have to go on the code and type print department with student 3. We will take student 3. Now we should cross check first. Let's see if there is some mistake or something. Okay, so we have to correct this. Okay. Now we should run and check if it is running or not. Okay, so here's the output. We get the roll number, which is 13536. Now finally we can create our data frame. Let us create an array of sequence of instances for our data frame. So let's start. Creating data frame. Now we will go again on the code and department with students is equal to department with student 1. And then department with student 2, and then department with student 3 will get along. Department with student 2. Oh, okay. Department with student 3. Here department 1 consists of student 1 and department 2 consists of student 3 and 4 and department 3 consists of student 4 and 5. Then we need to create Spark context using from Pyspark.context. So we are gonna write, we should go on code first. After selecting the code, we need to create Spark context using from Pyspark. Okay, Pyspark dot context import Spark context, and then from Pyspark dot SQL dot session import Spark session, sc is equal to Spark, so basically after this we can create data frame using department with students. So let's go on the text. So now let's run this program. Let's see if it is working. Okay, so now moving forward, we'll go to the code. Then df is equal to spark.create data frame. df, that is the department for student. Now we will go to the text and let's go for display data frame. So now we can display our data frame using display function. So let's go to the code again and write display function, that is df. So now, as you see, we have the structure of department which consists of two strings, ID and name, and the student array which consists of three strings, first name, last name and email, and two integer values which are age and roll number. Now as you know how to create a data frame, let us move on the COVID pandemic use case. So here we have the data of all the countries affected by COVID-19 pandemic, and it is the CSV format, so I am going to show you how it is done. Firstly, we will import Spark session from Pyspark SQL using the command. So let's do that. So before going further, we should run this first. And let's see. Yeah. So now we will go to the text and write data frame from CSV, because I'm going to show how it is done. So firstly, we will import Spark session from Pyspark SQL using the command. So that is from Pyspark.sql import Spark session. Let's run this also. Yeah. So now let's initiate the Spark session to create a data frame by executing the following command. That is Spark. Let's go to the code again and write Spark is equal to Spark session dot builder dot app dot app name, and then in bracket create data frame from CSV file, because here we are learning how to create this data frame from CSV file. So create data frame from CSV file. Get or create. Yeah. So now as the Spark session is initiated, we can use the spark.read command to read the CSV file and convert it into our data frame, which we have named as COVID-19_df. So let's again go to the code. Okay, so before that, we should run this code first. So it's not. Okay, I believe there must be some syntax error. Let's find out. Okay, so it should be capital. No, it will work, I guess. Yeah, it's working. So now as the Spark session is initiated, we can use the spark.read command to read the CSV file, of course, and convert it into our data frame, which we have named as COVID_df. So let's COVID, go to the code. We are already in the code. So COVID_df is equal to spark.read.csv. Then in the bracket, path is equal to double quotes, and then content, country wise, latest CSV, underscore wise, underscore latest dot CSV. .csv. Okay. So here, as you see, I have provided a path to the CSV file. You can do this by uploading it on Collab. So let me show you how it is done. So as it is uploaded, now we can right click on the file and copy the path into our spark.read command. Otherwise, if you are doing it in the Pyspark shell, you can directly copy the path of the file from the local directory. We have used comma as a separator, and as you see, I have set header equal to true. This is because otherwise the data frame would take the first row as the initial values of the dataset. So now, after successful execution of the command, our data, which we are going to run. So yeah, it's running. So now I will tell you how to upload this file. Let's go into the files, on the documents. Then I have already uploaded this file, that's country-wise latest. So you just have to choose the file and it will be visible on your screen, as you can see here. So with the next step, now after successful execution of the command, our data is created. And now let's try out some commands which we can use on our data frame. So let's go to the code. Firstly, let us use the .show command to display our data frame. That is COVID_df show. So now let's check first if it's correct or not. Yeah, it's working and we have the data set here. So now as you can see here, we have the country or region, number of confirmed cases, active cases, recovered cases, number of death, and so on. Now to look at the total number of records in our data frame, we can use COVID_df count. So for that we have to go to the code again. Okay, so let's type COVID_df.count. Sorry, .count. Yeah. So with this, we should also check it first. I hope it's working. Yeah, we have the output. So here we have total 187 records or rows in our data frame. Now if you want to see the columns, although we have seen it using the df.show function, but if you want to see just the name of column separately, you can use COVID_df.columns. So df.count. First we have to run it. Okay. Okay, so there is a correction actually. There should be a column instead of. So I run the code and that's the output. So as you can see here, we have all the columns listed out. Now here we can simply count the number of columns, but for more complex data frame, we can use len COVID_df columns. For that we have to go to code again and len in bracket COVID_df columns and bracket closed. Let's run this. So now you can see there are 15 columns in our data frame. Now let's print the schema of our data frame. Let's go to code again. We have to write COVID underscore df dot print schema and closed. So let's run this also. Okay, so as you can see, the types of column we have been mentioned here, and you can set no label as they're either true or false, because in some data frames maybe some of the values are supposed to be null. So moving on further, you can also describe a particular column using COVID underscore df dot describe in bracket. We should use double quote here. So World Health Organization reason. No, sorry, we should use single quote, because it will not work with the double ones. Okay, so dot show, and then so as you can see, the column WHO region have been described here. Count is equal to 187. That means it has total 187 records. So here mean and standard deviation are null, as we have string values. So the minimum value is Africa and the maximum is Western Pacific alphabetically. We can also describe one more column as per. Let's go to code first. With COVID underscore df dot describe single quote okay dot show. Let's run that. Here also count of total record is 187 and mean value is approx to 34,000 and the standard deviation is near about 21,326 and the minimum and maximum values are given as 0 and 98,752. So now we can also select a particular column or more than one column to show their details by using COVID underscore df dot select single quote country slash region and single quote that's space slash space handed cases. Dot show. Let's see if it's working. Okay, so it's working. Here you can see the data of two columns separately. We also have a filter function to filter out the data of a particular column at given position. And also we can do that by using COVID underscore df filter in bracket COVID underscore df dot dates 1000 dot show. Okay. Here we can see all the records in our data frame where the death count is greater than 1000. We can also count the number of records shown in by the above command using count function instead of using show function. So for that, let's see what is the command function. That is COVID underscore df dot filter COVID underscore df. We have used the same command actually that we had used earlier, but instead of show, you just have to write count. So, because you are using count function here, so df dot text is dot n 1000, and instead of show, just you have to write count. That's it. Let's run. That is 44. So the total number of record in the data frame with more than 1000 deaths is 44. We can also filter out more than one condition like this. And for that, let's see. Go to code. The command should be COVID underscore df dot filter double brackets COVID dot df dot deaths greater than 1000, of course, because we have used this information earlier also, and COVID underscore df dot active, that is greater than 10,000. This is closed. Okay. Dot show. Don't forget to close the bracket. Let's run this program. Let's cross check what's the error coming. You also have to take care of these small mistakes. COVID underscore df dot filter double bracket. Yeah, so here's the mistake. Underscore COVID dot death greater than 1000, and here's also one mistake. Yeah, so COVID dot underscore dot active 10,000 dot show. Let's run it again. So it worked now. Here we all the records where the dead count is greater than 1000 and also the number of active cases is greater than 10,000. We can also use order by function to arrange our data frame in ascending or descending order. So for that, we have to use the command that is COVID underscore df dot order by in bracket active dot show. Let's run it. So the error is here. Okay, this is called camel casing. B should be capital and Y should be small. Okay, so let's run it again. Yeah. So as you can see, data in our data frame is arranged in ascending order. Now we will try on running some SQL queries on our data frame first. We need to create a temporary table using the command covid_df dot register temp table in bracket C should be capital, covid_table. Now we can use the command. That is spark.sql in bracket single quote select from covid table from covid_table dot show. So, to show all the content of the table, we can also select a particular column using this last command, that is spark.sql in bracket select recovered from covid_table dot show. So you can see the data from a particular column of the table is fetched out. Basically, these were the top 10 functions.
So with this, we have come to the end of this session on Pyspark. I hope you found the session both interesting and exciting. If you have any questions about any of the topic covered in this session, or if you need the resources used in this session, please let us know in comment section below. And our team of experts will be pleased to respond as soon as possible. Thank you. Until next time, this is Umra from the Simplilearn team, signing off. Continue to learn and stay safe.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.